Welcome to Front Office Pros. Today, we're going to be talking about some Dynasty tight end rankings with tiers. Joe and I are going to be going through our top 24. If you haven't had a chance, go ahead and check out our wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. We did all three of them and did our Dynasty rankings with tiers. You're not going to want to miss that.
Hike!
All right, Joe, so why don't you start us off on tier number 5? Who do you got?
Yeah, tier number 5 at number 24, Darren Waller. 23,
Whoa.
Juwan Johnson. 22, Gerald Everett. 21, Tucker Kraft.
Okay. So number 24, I've got tight end Tucker Kraft. 23, tight end Greg Dulcich. Number 22, tight end Noah Fant. 21, tight end Jelani Woods. And number 20, Chigoziem Okonkwo. So this is an interesting group compared to you and me, Joe. I've got 5 guys in here. You've got 4. And my wow reaction was Darren Waller having him. You almost had him outside your top 24. You feel like this guy doesn't have a lot of tread left on the tires?
Yeah, I just really don't like his spot with the Giants. You know, I don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback position. I assume it's going to be Daniel Jones, but I don't know if Daniel Jones is the right guy to support him. They've got some other wide receivers on the team, and he just can't stay healthy. I mean, he's showing that, and he's on the wrong side of 30 right now, and he kind of had a couple of years that were really good, that kind of wowed you with his athleticism and everything, but I feel like he's kind of deteriorating, and you're right. I almost didn't even have him on here.
Wow, I can't believe that. I mean, like I know, the tight end landscape is an absolute wasteland. If somebody just falls into the end zone, they're going to be relevant. So, I mean, based on what Waller has done, I'm just surprised that doesn't hold any water for you.
Not really. Just looking at, I know what he's done. I'm just concerned about what he's going to be able to do with, on this team with the Giants. And you mentioned, falling into the end zone. I think he only had 1 touchdown this past season, but I mean, I know it was injury riddled and
finished as a tight end 22, even with all those injuries, though.
Yeah, and I mean, you had the quarterback carousel as well, but
no, it didn't help him.
Yeah.
So some other guys that are kind of interesting. I do not have Juwan Johnson or Gerald Everett in my top 24. Tucker Kraft, you and I both have. I really didn't want to put him on there, to be honest with you, but I almost felt like, because I felt like I had to because of the whole him and Musgrave thing. I lean more towards Musgrave. He's more athletic. He's a better receiver. But Kraft did really well when Musgrave was gone. So to me, I feel like almost Kraft is an insurance policy, or if they use a 2 tight end system.
Yeah. I mean, that is fair. They do have the 2 tight ends, and Musgrave is also, was impressive this year. But yeah, I felt like he was definitely deserving to be on here, though.
I am a little surprised, though. It sounds like you don't have the former Bronco, Noah Fant, or the current Bronco, Greg Dulcich, in your top 24. Have you soured on them?
I just don't trust Greg Dulcich. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. Hamstrings have been nagging him the last 2 seasons, and I just don't know if he's Sean Payton's guy either.
He said he's a joker.
Now that he's been here, he says the Joker very loosely. I mean, he also calls Jaleel McLaughlin that, and Kamara was his Joker with the Saints, so it makes more sense if McLaughlin's the Joker than Greg Dulcich. So I don't know how much he likes Greg Dulcich. We'll see what they do, free agency or draft, if they bring anyone else in this tight end room. But I mean, Adam Troutman, he really likes that Lucas Kroll, who he's a big body and kind of provides that down the field threat that Greg Dulcich is. But yeah, this is just simply, haven't seen enough out of Greg Dulcich, and he hasn't been on the field enough.
I just think he still has the potential. We saw what he did in his rookie year. And if he can stay healthy, I think, even if he's not a Bronco, could have opportunity elsewhere.
Yeah, if he's not a Bronco, I feel a little bit better. Especially, I mean, we don't know if Russ is going to stay or not. Russ doesn't really target the tight end position that much. And Noah Fant, I left him off just because I don't know, is he going to come back with the Seahawks? Where is he going to end up? And kind of what does that look like, and who is his quarterback?
I like him even better that he's a free agent, to be honest with you.
Okay.
To me, that makes. I mean, he's on the open market. He could go anywhere. He's a former first round pick. He had. I think he's actually done. I mean, he's done decent. He's not. He's not. Wouldn't classify him as a bust. I don't know what you think. I mean, his rookie year he was a tight end 8, then tight end 12, tight end 17, and most recently tight end 32. And he's 26 years old. So I think he has some serious potential. Depending on where he goes, I think he could actually be an intriguing option.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's been a bust just because he was taken in the first round pretty highly as well.
He's stable with the Broncos, though, if it wasn't for that trade to get Russell Wilson.
Yeah, no.
They wouldn't have cut him or anything like that.
No, they wouldn't have. But, to your point, he has improved. Seattle doesn't really utilize their tight ends for whatever reason in their offense. So I do agree, like, if he does leave it to go to a different team, he could earn more fantasy potential.
Well, and I mean, why do you have Gerald? I mean, Gerald Everett's a free agent. You feel like Everett has more ability than Fant? I mean, Everett's older too.
Yeah, he's older. I just feel like we've seen it and just been able to see it more. And
have we though? I'm pretty sure if we look at the numbers, it would show that Everett hasn't. I was looking at his numbers. I'm gonna check them right now, but I'm pretty sure he has not finished very strongly.
No, he might not. I mean,
tight end 23, tight end 13, tight end 22, and tight end 25.
Yeah,
it's not great.
I mean, still better than Fant finished at 32. So
sure, my most recent season, but he's also finished at 8 and 12.
Yeah, I mean, he has. I think it just depends on where they go. But if Everett stays, though, I think that's a big if. But if he stays, well,
they don't have the money.
Yeah, but is he going to command a lot of money? I mean, if he does.
Okay, if he does, we'll go with your narrative. If he does,
I think Jim Harbaugh is going to do wonders with this guy. He loves to utilize tight ends, and I really think that he could pair well in that offense if he happens to stay with the Chargers.
Interesting. Now, do you have Jelani Woods or Chig Okonkwo?
Chig Okonkwo, but not Jelani Woods, no.
Just because Woods can't stay healthy?
I just don't know what to expect out of the Colts tight end room. They have so many guys. I mean, honestly, I really like Will Mallory, who they also have.
I think Woods' potential is off the charts.
It is. There's just, I don't know. They have so many tight ends. I don't know what they're going to do with them all. And then is Anthony Richardson going to utilize them? Yeah, a lot of, I know that tight ends can be that security blanket, but will Anthony Richardson target the tight end position? We don't really know. Obviously, Gardner Minshew somewhat targeted that position. So that's kind of the factors that I don't have him on here. But I do agree. He does have a lot of talent.
All right, Joe. Who do you got in tier 4?
All right. Tier 4 at number 20, Cade Otton. 19, Chig Okonkwo. 18, Isaiah Likely. 17, Luke Musgrave. And 16, Michael Mayer.
Okay, interesting. So number 19, I've got tight end Luke Musgrave. Number 18, tight end Michael Mayer. And number 17, tight end Isaiah Likely. That's it.
No, that's it. Short tier for you.
Yeah, Joe. So that I just got 3 guys in this tier compared to your 5 guys. I do not have Cade Otton in my top 24.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. I feel like you're not giving Cade Otton his dues here, but yet you got Jelani Woods in there. Just interesting.
I'm not excited. What could you get excited about Cade Otton? I see. To me, I'm those that last tier are dart throws. Those are guys that I think could take it to the next level. It's like, in my view, I mean, Johnny Woods was not a first rounder. I think he was a second, but you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. It might have been a third. I think he was pretty high up there. But I view him as an Njoku type, where he's very athletic. Can they get him healthy? Can they get him on the field? Can they kind of unlock that athleticism? So to me, his potential is off the charts. Otton's not moving the needle.
Why not, man? This guy, I mean, he's 6'5", 247, age 24. He's on the Bucs. Baker Mayfield. All indications are that he's coming back. And, I mean, he had, 67 targets, 455 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, it's only a second year. Sometimes it takes a little bit for tight ends to develop. Maybe this third year and second year with Baker Mayfield, we see something happen here.
You can have him.
All right. I'd gladly take him.
Joe, he's been tight end 20 and tight end 26. That's nothing to get excited about. That's it. He's not. He will. I don't think Cade Otton will ever be a tight end 1. He will never crack the top 12.
That's fine. I mean, you think Jelani Woods will?
Yeah, I definitely think he could.
I mean,
how could he not? How could he? His ceiling is immense.
If he's utilized the right way, that's the thing, man. Like, they got to be in the right situation.
It's a what if, but I'll take that. If it's a lottery ticket, I'm taking him over Cade Otton.
Interesting. I think Cade Otton's in a way better position to possibly get into the top 12 than Jelani Woods.
Otherwise, you and I are pretty similar here. I've got Musgrave, Mayer, and Likely. You have them as well, except for your order is a little bit different. You've got Mayer and Musgrave ahead of Likely. Thoughts there?
Yeah, I like Likely as a talent. He's kind of shown what he could do, but at the end of the day, a lot of that came from when Mark Andrews was injured, because when Mark Andrews was in there, he was a top 5 tight end before he got hurt, and then Likely showed. So I just don't know how they're going to move forward. How involved is Mark Andrews? Do they still, find a way to get Likely the ball just because he is so athletic and made some nice plays?
I mean, Likely really didn't. I mean, I know Andrews is Mark Andrews, but do you really feel like there was that much of a fall off from that tight end room when it became Likely as the starter?
No, not really. It didn't seem that way, but I mean, that could. Yeah, like I said, it's not a knock on Likely's talent. I just don't know who they're going to end up utilizing more. Obviously, Mark Andrews has played longer with Lamar. They have a really good rapport, and they utilize him a lot. So that's the only reason I have him. I mean, I have him one spot lower than you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I'm just saying, as far as how you ordered it, I think you could go your way too. I think you go either way. I think all 3 of them are very interesting. They've got that potential. I just view Musgrave because of that. He's got the same situation as Likely, except for I guess he's the starter. Yeah. So I think I'd side on Likely. And Mayer's got a lot of talent. Just wasn't utilized. I don't know if the Raiders will be able to do or not. It kind of depends on the quarterback. But if it is Russell Wilson, like they're suspecting, it's not going to be good for Mayer.
No, that's the thing. The new quarterback has stock should rise. Unless it is Russell Wilson, then Russell Wilson doesn't really throw over the middle of the field, and I don't like him as much. But Luke Musgrave, yeah, it is the opposite situation for Likely. He's kind of the main guy. He's also the more explosive player than Tucker Kraft. And Musgrave was putting up some big numbers before he had that lacerated kidney and missed 6 games as well.
All right, Joe, so who do you got in tier number 3?
In tier 3 at 15, I've got Dalton Schultz. 14, Dallas Goedert. 13, Pat Freiermuth. 12, Cole Kmet. And at 11, Jake Ferguson.
Joe, this will sound similar to you. At number 16, I've got Darren Waller. 15, I've got tight end Dalton Schultz. 14, tight end Dallas Goedert. 13, tight end Cole Kmet. 12, tight end Pat Freiermuth. And 11, tight end Jake Ferguson. So we both were able to get up to 11 at this point. So we're going to be, when we go into tier 2, we're going to be starting off at the same footing here. And we're pretty similar. The only real difference that you and I have, obviously, I have Waller. We already talked about him some. I think you're giving a little disrespect to Mr. Waller. Although I think the Giants situation isn't as good. You can't deny what he's been able to do. So to me, I think I felt like I had to put him here because I think that I almost thought about putting him in tier 4, but I just felt like he's been too good to not have him in tier 3. But otherwise, you and I are pretty similar. I am a little surprised how high you have Cole Kmet. I feel like you've been down on this guy for a very long time. I'm surprised that you have him higher than I do.
Yeah, the main reason I was down on him was just lack of targets that he was getting and what his potential target share could be. But I did give him a bump with a possible new quarterback coming in there. But it seems like the Bears have made it a point to get him the ball, and hopefully that carries through.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And here's the thing. Of this group, I was very curious to see how you'd rate Dallas Goedert. You and I have him exactly the same at 14.
Yeah.
I think this guy might be the most overrated guy when it comes to the tight end group. He's got this huge name, but if you look at it, he's been tight end 14, 12, 11, 21. He's completely mid, and he's 29 years old, going to be close to 30 by the beginning of the season. I almost rated him lower. I think he is the epitome of name value, and I don't really think he gives you that much in return.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely contemplated putting him lower as well. But then it got to a point where I was just like, this seems like a good spot for him. But yeah, I agree. I mean, he's really name value at this point. He's been struggling to stay on the field. And honestly, like even when he was back and healthy, they seem to be just targeting AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, just choosing to go with other guys as well. So we'll see what happens. He made his bread on the yard after catch. He was never like a high volume, high usage guy, but he could get the yak. And now that he's older, that's what makes me not like him as much.
It's only going to get harder for him.
Right.
It's only going to get harder. So yeah, I agree. Now he did have a down year. He could have a bounce back, but again, he hasn't done all that great. I mean, he's never had a top 5 season. He's never had a top 10 season. So it's like, I mean, what says that's going to happen now when you've got AJ Brown, Mr. Ball Hog himself, who's going to say, give me the ball. You know what I mean? They got to get him the ball or the whole team is going to be in topsy-turvy.
Yeah. And the other thing is he's never really been that high of a touchdown guy. So that limits his ceiling and upside. Like some of these other guys, Jake Ferguson or even a Cole Kmet, they get utilized more in the red zone. They can easily be higher than him just with the sheer touchdowns.
Yeah, I like Ferguson. Real quick, this is kind of a tangent. I almost had Luke Schoonmaker in there in my top 24.
Interesting.
Not because he's shown anything, but it's just the Dallas tight end. Jake Ferguson was a nobody. Dalton Schultz leaves. Then Ferguson's a starter. Ferguson instantly becomes a good player. So I think it's one of those things.
The key will be, though, getting Schoonmaker once Jake Ferguson ready to leave. Because it doesn't seem like Dallas likes to pay these tight ends. So it's just like next man up. So, once Jake Ferguson gets at the end of his rookie contract, then go get Luke Schoonmaker.
Yeah, exactly. That's got to be your move. That's the next thing you got to do for sure. That's my advice in 2 or 3 years down the road. Or let's see. I think Ferguson's in his second year, I believe. So yeah, in 2 years from now, you better go get Schoonmaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Joe. Who do you got in tier 2? This will be interesting.
Tier 2 at number 10, I've got Evan Ingram. At 9, David Njoku. 8, Kyle Pitts. 7, George Kittle. 6, Travis Kelce, and at 5, Mark Andrews.
Oh, Mark Andrews in tier 2. Wow, we got a lot to talk about here. So at number 10, I've got Evan Ingram. 9, George Kittle. 8, David Njoku. 7, Travis Kelce, and 6, TJ Hawkinson. Yeah, I know, Joe, you're surprised when it comes to TJ Hawkinson being in tier 2, but I mean, you've got Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts in tier 2, so there's some wonky stuff going on over there. I
don't think so.
Of course you wouldn't. Evan Ingram, we're on the same page. Kittle, I'm not surprised. You love Kittle, so your fandom of Kittle is going to blind you. So that's no surprise that he's higher.
Hey, your Kittle hate is not deserved. But just because the guy is a little bit boomer bust and he's not going to be consistent week to week, but he will win you weeks.
Yeah, he's going to be 31. You're talking about that Darren Waller's on the bad side of 30, so you can't use that same argument.
Yeah, but Kittle's produced. I mean, he just came off of a top 5 season, I want to say.
No, you're right. Yeah, he was tight end. What a guy here. He's tight end. Come on, Mr. Kittle, 5.34 over the past 3 years. So he's been good.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been. Yeah, I mean, that hasn't even.
But why not Njoku, who's going to be 28? He's 2 years younger practically, and he had a tight end 6 season.
Right, but a lot of that success was with Joe Flacco. My concern is the change in quarterback. I don't trust Deshaun Watson, and
I know you don't.
now we see that he's possibly open to being suspended again, depending on how certain investigations go. So,
Really, I missed that completely.
oh yeah, that came out today. There was a report saying that Deshaun Watson potentially not out from being suspended again.
With the same incident or a new incident?
There's a ongoing investigation, and depending on how that goes, the NFL has not ruled
Holy
out the
moly.
possibility of suspending him. So,
Okay. Well, you did your homework more than I did. You and I actually am surprised that Kelsey's in your tier 2. I mean, I think last year you were adamant that he was number 1 last year. I agree with you. I have him 7. I think he took a step back, and the thing is, I don't know how much longer he's going to play.
yeah, from a dynasty perspective, that's the thing. I don't know how. I mean, I think he really wants a three-peat, and is it a three-peat in sayonara?
Yeah.
Or I know he also says if Andy Reid goes, he goes, and I don't know how much longer he wants to be coaching. But so that's why I have him here. He did take a dip, but showed that he can still play in the playoffs. So I almost wonder if it's a thing. Will they monitor his usage, start mixing in Gray and some other guys at the tight end position during the season to kind of salvage him for the postseason run?
He's such a tough one to think about for next year. He's such a
And
tough
I mean,
one.
he had major touchdown regression this year as well.
Yeah.
So.
And we expect them to kind of address the wide receiver room as well. So, he's a tough one.
Yeah.
So you and I are big disagreements here. I got Hawkinson in tier 2. You've got Andrews and Kyle Pitts in tier 2. What's your? Well, I'll start with Hawkinson. He tore his ACL this past season. Most likely going to be. I don't know if he's even going to be able to play most of next year. To be honest with you, it really depends on his recovery. I like Hawkinson. I considered putting him in tier 1. Obviously, he's right on the cusp. I personally have Andrews higher because, in my view, Andrews. I mean, I was hard for me not to put Andrews there. Before this season, he was tight end 4, 1, and 6. He's basically going to be 29 years old. Hawkinson is going to be 27 years old. So it's a 2-year difference. I understand Hawkinson being in tier 1. Honestly, if it wasn't for the ACL I think is kind of making this so that it's a little skewed, and I probably shouldn't be doing that. But a part of me, without not knowing the quarterback situation as well, this could change depending on how the offseason shakes out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it was just straight up 2024 tight end rankings, I'd have Hawkinson lower. But being that dynasty and he's still 26 years old, I'm still going to keep him in tier 1, but I am concerned how he's going to come back from. That's a major knee injury that he suffered, and how he'll end up coming back from it from 2024. But I think after it, he should be okay, like in his second year removed from it.
So are you concerned about injury stuff for Andrews, or the likely kind of creeping in on his value, or?
Exactly. It's a mixture of both of those, kind of his availability and, he's getting older. And then, a lot of it has to do with the emergence of Isaiah Likely, and how much do they start mixing him in? Because to your point, when Likely came in, they didn't really skip a beat in there as far as the tight end position went, and he performed really well. So,
and why on earth do you have Kyle Pitts at 8?
Oh, I mean, he doesn't look. The fact that he's in here is all on pure hype. We've seen it 1 year with Matt Ryan. Still have no idea who's going to play quarterback in Atlanta, and everyone just says, "Oh, this guy's talent's off the charts." We haven't seen it. It hasn't come to the stats, and until this guy does something outside of his rookie year, I'm going to continue to put him in here. I mean, I got him top 10. I mean, I don't think that's disrespectful.
When you see my rankings, it'll be considered disrespectful.
Well, yeah, you're going to probably have him at number 1.
We'll see.
I mean, yeah, I get.
Why don't we go over to tier 1? Because you and I might have some banter.
Get the guys like 23, but
who do you have? Who are your top? Let's see here. Your top 4. You don't have 5. So who's in the top 4 here?
Yeah, my top 4. So at number 4, I've got the aforementioned T.J. Hawkinson. At number 3, I've got Dalton Kincaid. At 2, I've got Trey McBride, and number 1, I've got Sam Laporta.
Yeah, you want to take a victory lap with Sam Laporta. I know you do. So in tier 1, I've got tight end number 5 is Mark Andrews. Tight end number 4 is Trey McBride. Tight end 3 is Dalton Kincaid. 2 is Kyle Pitts. And number 1 is Sam Laporta.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I listened to you on that. I'm not too surprised. We're pretty similar on this, except for you have Hawkinson in the top, in your tier 1, and we know the rationale behind that. I personally, from McBride's standpoint, is purely preference. I understand you had him at 2. I highly considered putting him at 2. I think the hype is just a little too much for him. I know he was tight. He was tight end 7 last year. He's the same age as Dalton Kincaid. Personally, once Dawson Knox is no longer on the roster or Diggs is gone, we're talking dynasty here. Kincaid could become the number 1 option for Josh Allen with the Bills. So to me, Kincaid, preference wise, I have Kincaid higher than McBride. I have no qualms if you want to go with McBride over Kincaid, but to me, I would rather have Kincaid. Yeah, you'd rather have McBride though.
Yeah, a lot of that is just more so for the immediate success because there's not much competition at the wide receiver position in Arizona. And to your point, you've got Dawson Knox, who honestly vultures touchdowns from Kincaid.
He does.
That's the one scary part. But to your point, I don't know how much longer Knox will be there. But for the moment, that's kind of why I have him higher. But I could definitely, with Kincaid's athleticism, you can definitely see it. And I think the Bills should have a better plan for him moving forward. I think it took a little bit during the season to kind of figure out how to use both him and Knox when they're on the field, because obviously we saw what Kincaid did when Knox was injured and out. But it was like once they were both on the field, they almost didn't know how to utilize both of them, but they figured something out towards the end of the season. So I have a decent amount of confidence in Kincaid moving forward.
Yeah, I do too. I was actually curious how high you rate him because I feel like I'm more bullish on him than you are. And obviously, this is no surprise. You coming in here, I disagree with you heavily on Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is I didn't think about, so I had Sam Laporta as the obvious one. I felt like they're roughly the same age, but Sam Laporta, he had a fantastic rookie year. He was tight end 1. How do you not have him 1? I don't know if he will continue to be as successful. I know you even talked about possibly this could be a good opportunity to possibly trade him, get as much as you can from a dynasty perspective. For Pitts, he's 23 years old. He was a tight end 6 his rookie year. Even in this most recent season, which was up and down, he was tight end 13. I think now that Arthur Smith is gone, I think they're going to find a way to get this guy the ball. I understand there's no quarterback there yet, but he's just still so young, and his potential's off the charts. And you know me, Joe. I like the glitz and the glam. I like the potential. This is the guy who could win you your leagues in the future, and that's who I want.
Problem is, I've been hearing that same argument for the last 3 years, and it's just been disappointing. And I get Arthur Smith is gone. They got a new offensive coordinator coming in there, but the Rams didn't heavily use their tight ends. I know it's Tyler Higbee versus your super young athletic sparkly toy and Kyle Pitts here.
Oh, boy.
I just feel like there's other guys, to get the ball, and this is a great wide receiver draft class, so they get in some more competition at the wide receiver position. I don't know. I
will say this, though. Yeah, I think you've kind of come around on this issue, but rookie tight ends, that was a big talking point heading into last season. And this idea that you can't take him because they historically haven't done well. But I think, as you can see, that was a historic draft class. And looking at our tight end rankings compared to what last year, it's completely topside change. And, you're talking about Laporta and Kincaid for both of us in the top 3. That's pretty remarkable if you think about it. It's from a tight end. Because tight end is not a type of position that you see those type of moves.
No, definitely not. It just showed that these tight ends I feel like they were just more prepared and ready to come into the league and make an impact. Because, you don't even use, like you said, Kyle Pitts' best rookie year, finished as the tight end 6. Sam Laporta came in his rookie and finished as the tight end 1 on the season. That's unheard of to do as a rookie. I'm interested to see how Laporta keeps going. Obviously, if you watch the buy low or sell high video with me talking about Laporta, I think he's in for a little bit of touchdown regression, which could hurt him.
So that does it for our Dynasty tight end rankings with tiers. Hopefully you find that helpful. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We do videos all throughout the off season, so you're not going to want to miss it. Our next episode, we're going to be talking about some Dynasty IDP rankings with tiers. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.